whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and I am also the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that highlights Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, drink. I was going to say why is this food, drink, and culture. And as always, I like to say we're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Already lots of people in the room, and the stars of the show haven't even entered the stage yet. So people miss them. So we took a week off last weekend for Labor Day holiday, and I needed a break. So the two wonderful women that you're going to see in a minute gave me permission to back off for a week, but now we have them back. So the main reason you're here is not me. This is why you're here today. This is why you're here today. Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones. How we doing?
Great. Rested. Fit.
Good. And like already in the room, welcome Cinema. Welcome Jen. Welcome Blue Rains. Welcome Chris. Welcome Green-Eyed. I can't ever get this right. Aisha, help me. Green-Eyed. Okay, you'll see in a minute. You'll see in a minute. And Black Beauty, welcome. Like nothing like a great welcome back. You're already in the room. Bam. So what's been going on over the last time we saw each other? What's been going on?
Just keeping up with the WNBA because we're getting close to playoffs. So tonight, my Phoenix Mercury plays Connecticut Sun. So
nice. I'm
excited because Phoenix Mercury is playing, not Connecticut Sun. And it's going to be a big game because both of them have been on winning streaks. Phoenix won 10 games in a row. Connecticut won 11. So tonight somebody breaks their streak. I hope it's Connecticut. And I'm from Connecticut.
Have you always been a basketball lady? Basketball woman. Basketball woman. I've been told to say woman, not lady. Basketball woman. Sorry.
I've always loved basketball. I prefer the women.
Oh.
Because the women play, okay? They play like their life depends on it.
And what they're getting paid, their life does depend on it.
Exactly. They don't get paid.
Yeah, they don't get paid. Jill D, what's been going on?
Tennis.
Yes,
I've been such a tennis head. And my girl won today, Emma Raducanu. She's new, but sweet little girl. And I mean, both of them were good. Leila Fernandez and Canadian.
Both born in Canada.
Emma, UK, I guess. And
yes.
Layla, I guess she trains in Boca Raton. If you haven't had to deal with hearing Chrissy Everett narrate a comment through something. It's really tough sometimes. She's, it's like, you're going to dox her, give everybody's address out. She just sometimes blathers on a lot. But no, I've just been chilling out. The world didn't blow up yet. So that was good, because the week that we didn't get together, there was a lot going on. I think the abortion thing had gone down. There was just and I guess here's the thing. If we had to comment every single day, it's changing. It's always like a changing line. It's definitely not when you throw the I Ching every day. So, yeah, it is like throwing the I Ching. Something's different every day, but there are no solid lines where something stays the same. It changes rapidly. So, which means we're entitled to take a breather now and then through these labor pains.
You just gave me a vision. If we were ever sponsored, I'd love to do this half an hour each day.
Yeah, it would be great, because it's
because even when even a week, there's so much stuff that happens just in a week.
So much that happens in just a day.
I know.
We miss out on so much stuff. So if there's any sponsors out there, please, we'd love to do this on the daily. Do I have, our half hour of news info would be certainly unique to almost anything that would be going on online.
That's true. We should try to figure that out and talk about it. It's a lot. I mean, sometimes, like I said, I hope that we can offer some good news on something, because taking all this toxicity in is really a lot. But that's where I think we come into it. Let us vent for you and get it all out there, and and then you could go about your day. So yeah, every day would be nice. A nice dose of the girls.
Oh, that'd be fire.
The women.
That would be fire. That'd be great. Yeah. So Jill, Novak, gonna do it?
I hope he does. I really do. I mean, we've had a historical championship today with Emma Raducanu coming through, having to qualify, and she's the first male or female to ever do that. And also, she never dropped a set. She's never dropped a set. Yeah. So that's unheard of. So no, it's I feel like the vibe is there, and I just think Novak works so hard, and his brain power, as you and I were speaking earlier, is a lesson. I think everybody, if you don't tune into him or watch him as an athlete, I think he's one of the best athletes going today. If you ever need to know about how to get through something, I mean, talk about resilience, as you said earlier, and just sticking your mind to something that and deal with it. I mean, he's unbelievable. Talk about staying in the moment and making each moment better than the last one.
53. Sasha
Zverev, who is my pretend son, because I've been rooting for him for a long time. I was
son.
He is. But, now I'm older. I'm these kids are these are my pretend kids. I've got a lot of them. And I felt really bad for the Canadian Felix, because I knew there was just no way.
No.
I mean,
he got squashed.
Yeah, quickly. He held up for a minute, but it was just good A for effort for trying. But he has some things he has to still work out. Mm-hmm. And I think having younger people coming on the tour or in any of this, it's going to put a little bit of fire under his bottom and everybody else's for a minute, because, the 18-year-olds have arrived.
So here's my
question. And that other boy, Carlos, who was a qualifier, and he got in, but he got injured.
So one more tennis thing, and we'll get to because I know people go, come on, guys, get to the real stuff. So Jill, is this the last time the U.S. Open sees Rafa?
No.
Is this the last time they see? Why am I forgetting his name now?
Federer?
Federer?
No, I don't think so. I think that The question is it the last time we're going to see Serena?
That, you notice who I left to last.
Because I would be a little nervous with her playing the two girls today. Although there's something to be said about experience, but, you know, Fernandez kind of cleaned the floor with Naomi Osaka.
Yeah. There's another thing there.
That was a humbling moment, and I think she needed to have one.
Yeah.
Just as an athlete, because, you know, like I was looking at the enthusiasm these kids had when they had to go off and talk to press. And I mean, before I've been like, oh, people shouldn't be forced to talk to press, but you just got handed a $2.5 million check. Yeah, it's part of the package, and you should play. You got to do a little bit of that. It's what people want. So, you know.
All right.
My girls do a lot of it for a cap of $100,000
exactly, and they're not exactly,
and they do it,
So I was going to say the WNBA please let's show a little gratitude and humility.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Well, and before we do, Chris is saying, just as an aside, Aisha, glad you're feeling better. You look great.
You do look good.
You do. Fantastic. Well, thank you, family, for the putting up of the 9 minutes of tennis talk. Please don't be too hard on us. Let's get down to it. Today is the 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts? Where were you when it happened?
I was in Connecticut, actually, but my family was spread all over the place. Like, my sister was in DC, and my nephew was in a daycare right across from the White House. And so we were very worried about that. And then my aunt was on a train going into the city and just stuck on the train because they couldn't get into the city. And so I just happened to be eating breakfast, and I was on the phone with Amaya's dad at the time. This is before I was even pregnant with Amaya. And he said, oh, a plane crashed into the World Trade Center. And I turned around behind me because the TV was on. And from far away, it looked like it was a smaller plane, because that was the feed that they had been showing on Good Morning America. And then when the second plane came around, it was like, oh, this isn't just a one-off accident. And, you know, there are so many stories. The story that really, I think, pulled at my heartstrings the most were those kids from DC on their way to a science conference. They were Black kids on their way to a science conference in California, and were there with their teachers, but without their parents. And they were all like between 10 and 11, and they died on the plane.
Jill?
For me, I was living in New York at the time. And I was in a car service taking my daughter to school. And I, funny enough, was on the phone with my daughter's father at the time. And we were having a massive row about something, arguing that early in the morning. And so we went over the Brooklyn Bridge because her school was in Lower Manhattan. I mean, down in the Village. And there was like a really big like sound that, you know, roaring over, but this is how intense I was in my argument. And, you know, my daughter's like, Mom. So then by the time I got to the school, some parents and stuff were standing out there going, oh my gosh. And a plane just flew into the World Trade Center. And I said, could the day get any worse? I remember I was like, could it get any worse? You know, because I thought it was a little plane, like little, and that was bad enough. But I was like, oh my God, really? I said, I got to get Zuzu into school. So I took her into class. And when I was walking out, I was in the West Village. And, you know, then there's Tribeca, and then there's the towers, Battery Park, that whole thing. And I was just standing. Traffic was slowing down kind of. And I looked in the middle of the road, and I kept looking and I could see the smoke billowing out of one building. I'm like going, what the hell?
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, I just saw from the second building, like from me standing there looking at it, and it just exploded. Like there was it just went, and I went, oh, and right then and there I went, oh, this isn't an accident. I said, what the fuck? And I pardon my language, I just said, no. And I remembered like, oh no. And I went right back into my daughter's school. I might have been not the best parent to handle this because I think I might have panicked everybody. I barged into her classroom. The kids didn't know. They were all like learning. And I said, Zuzu, come on. We got to go. And the teacher's like, what's going on? I said, they just bombed the building. Like there's planes flying into buildings. And she's like, well, wait a minute. I was like, I'm taking my daughter and we're going. But maybe that was not my best shining moment. They were little kids, like, little. And I was I grabbed her. We went outside. By that time, it had registered with everybody like this was an attack. And then the ATMs were jammed, like immediately. You could just see people lined up getting their money or their kids. And it was a choice. So, it was really crazy. And then because we lived over like in Brooklyn Heights area, which is on the tip, to get back over, it was really sketchy. Like, should we go back there on the bridges? I'm not crossing the bridge. So we stayed downtown at a friend's for a little bit and basically moved below 14th Street somewhere else for a while. But then news came in later that someone that I was going out with at the time, his family had three people on the second plane, and the father had been speaking with his son, and they were the ones who it was a husband and wife, and they had a 2-year-old, a little girl, Christine, the Hansons. And when it was confirmed that they really were on the plane and that he had said, don't worry, Dad, it'll be fast, was heartbreaking to hear. The funeral for that was crazy because the woman who was the wife was a scientist as well. And she had discovered a component in the HIV virus. She was a brilliant woman, Korean, and her grandmother had raised her because her grandmother had lost her daughter, the girl's mother. And there was this elderly woman who was so burying her granddaughter and her great-grandchild. And that was brutal. So the jets flying over, all of that during that mayhem. Did you have the right ID to get below? I've found that even with the pandemic and with 9/11 and all these things, that when they happen, there's always something that we're not prepared for, Dr. Vibe. Like really, they're just the little things that you go, oh, shoot, I didn't change my driver's license. And now I got to tell her. And then you're mad and you're like, of course I live there. And little things. But we're in a society that allows people not to follow rules. So maybe if we did, certain things would flow a little bit easier. But that was a horrific day. And the pictures of everybody all over town for weeks.
Yeah.
And then phone calls of who was in the building working, everybody knew somebody, knew many people working, people who didn't go that day.
Yeah. Just want to add here, green-eyed little baby. I was watching the news in Florida, and you could see it over the shoulder of the newscasters. They sat in disbelief. I'll add my story to it because the ladies always want me to speak up. At the time, I was working for a telecommunications company, and I was driving into work while it was going on in real time. And this was a high-rise building, and we were watching it, and I'm going, should we be in this high-rise tower right now? Like,
wow. Whoa. Yeah.
I'm going, so eventually they got everyone out, but we were initially just watching it happen and didn't think, hey, could it happen here? So we located. But then another layer to the story is an uncle of mine, he's passed away. At the time, he was working in one of the buildings.
No.
Wow.
and he was working for some sort of trade company, etc. I got home that evening, and I called him, and all I got was a voice message.
Oh.
But 2 days later, he called and said he was staying at his friend's house. He decided not to go into work that day.
Isn't that wild?
But let me tell you, I feel the emotion right now, making that phone call and just getting a voicemail message and basically telling him, if I never see you again, you were fantastic, this, that, and the other thing. And I that moment comes up very vividly in my mind, making that type of phone call was just very, very riveting. Chris is saying here, in a nutshell, to see how truly united we were in a true crisis and to see how we are so divided in another crisis, crises, makes me both feel quite sad and quite angry simultaneously.
I'll say, can I just add to that and say
Please.
Why that is? It's because America is not New York. And the only reason is that New York set the example of what, having gone through that, New York people were the ones who felt it, dealt it. And then you have all the wannabes who have their story. Everybody in the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all of us were the example of how you handle a crisis. And it really begs, it should not be surprising how many people have not followed the rules in the pandemic. Are the states that
we'll get to this. Get to this. We're going to get to a little bit later on. So
well, the other thing too is that the actual crises that we have going on now, people look at it and be like, oh, it's not happening here. When you think about where the pandemic really hit the hardest in the beginning was in that tri-state area. And people are like, oh, it's not here. So it's not going to affect us, which is so different than the fear that, but the other thing too, I think that made people feel united was rather than this abstract idea of a disease, people felt united against an other. Yeah. Because
Can I read something for 9/11? It's Please. Something that I posted. It's a poet that I like, and I think she's Polish, but I can't remember. But Wisława Szymborska, View with a Grain of Sand, and I posted it on my Instagram. This poem always stands with me for many years. It's resonated since 9/11, but it's called Could Have. It could have happened. It had to happen. It happened earlier, later, nearer, farther off. It happened, but not to you. You were saved because you were the first. You were saved because you were the last. Alone, with others, on the right, on the left, because it was raining, because of the shade, because the day was sunny. You were in luck. There was a forest. You were in luck. There were no trees. You were in luck. A rake, a hook, a beam, a break, a jam, a turn, a quarter inch, an instant. So you're here, still dizzy from another dodge, close shave, reprieve. One hole in the net and you slip through. I couldn't be more shocked or speechless. Listen how your heart pounds inside me. So that is a poem that basically states like what that did, 9/11 made everybody think like what your uncle did of like, I just decided not to go. And I think it was one of the times that people really started looking at divine intervention, really held a few of them and really played very huge part in their lives. And it really was, it was chillingly, you could go, oh my gosh, why did your train, why was it late? Or why would you oversleep? There were so many things that you heard about close misses. And then unfortunately, the others that had to go. And it just felt very spiritual somehow, because that was the only way the mind could grasp the brevity of what was in, and that smell of burning flesh that floated all the way up to 14th Street. And I could smell this. And I remember my grandmother told me about a plane crash when she was younger, and it was a army plane crash, and they had run out. It was in the field, and she just talked about this smell of burning flesh. And she's always described it as, it's something that you don't know what it is, but it's very familiar of something, and it's souls and spirits. It's us. Right. It's us. It's got sense memory. And so for me, it was like divine intervention. And even though people, the evildoers, did what they wanted to do, it traumatized all of us. I mean, my daughter, for months and years, I mean, we couldn't have a window open because she was terrorized that Osama bin Laden was going to come through the windows. And it was just crazy. It was not even crazy. It was just realistic that, there were people that jumped and died, and there were people that died instantly. And then there were, like I said, the funerals were awful.
Yeah.
No words.
For me, it was just like, I turned down a job in the towers a year before. And the thought of, oh my God, I could have been working there. That kind of thing just, was difficult. And then, it was very hard because one of my best friends got married that Saturday. It was kind of hard to be joyous.
Oh, wow.
With this hanging over it.
Sure.
And the groom went, he wanted to go through with it, and we did, but his aunt was still one of the missing.
Yeah, that was the hardest part, coming out of the schools. And, when your kids are back in school, they had psychiatrists on deck all the time. Kids were drawing pictures all the time of the towers or people jumping out of them, which was, that was a reality. I mean, that's really what happened. And I think the further we get away with it, further we get from it, I do feel that there's something missing in what people know and really realize about that day. And especially this new crop of people. And,
that was something else for teachers. My sister was a teacher in Stanford at the time, and they worked a little late because a lot of the kids in her class had parents who were in the towers.
Right. And they were not coming to get them
up. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the interesting comment from Green Eye Little Baby. My question is, when will Saudi Arabia be held accountable? 45 totally let them off, dismissing their part in it, as well as the killing of the journalists.
They never will be held accountable unless it's divine intervention. Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody who, for some weird reason, or until the world no longer needs them, until we get up and running with needing less fossil fuels, then we don't need them. They'll need us. They need us already to go. You see all the ads for Dubai and all that stuff. That's tourism. They need us. They're running out. Their places are sinking. But until we've used them up, it's very Bill Withers at the moment. We're just going to be singing that until you use me, and it feels this because they're okay with being used. And the problem is they made a step with Trump, which was they stepped out of the shadows a lot on that. And I think it's horrific that no one's held them accountable. But I also would say that people are afraid of them.
And the government, even now, of course, continues to deal with Saudi Arabia. But at the time, the Bushes were really deep in with Saudi Arabia. And this was something that you hate to say it, but you reap what you sow with them and the dealings. It's like the Bushes had a long history of dealing with Saudi Arabia, going back to the Reagan years when the father was vice president.
But it's more than just the politics of it. The Saudis have been entrenched in our society for a really long time. In fact, money begets money. They all know each other. All their kids go to the same schools. All of that stuff has happened. It's been happening. They were educated at Oxford, or they come over here and go to Harvard. Yeah. It's been happening. The problem is now they're all grown up. They're millennials, and some are even Xers and underneath, however it falls. And they all want more than the piece of their pies. This is a different crop of young generation. They want more than their slice. They don't give a damn about their parents' relationships. And that's why they're far more treacherous than what was already established, because it's like the old mafia versus the new mafia, or new whatever they are nowadays. There were codes. There was a code of conduct, code of a moral, believe it or not, even with the Italian mafia. There was a level. But now some of the new ones, and it's because of the money. They've all known each other. There's nothing new. And so they decide who's going to be in the political aspect running things, while they helping them to get more money.
Okay. Well, let's move on. I'm just going to put in this one last comment. Green-eyed little baby saying America isn't America anymore to a lot of people, because they now get a little taste of what it's like in a war-torn protests country or military police brutality state. True. So let's move it on to our next conversation topic. President Biden introduces a vaccine mandate for 100 million workers.
Good.
Uh-oh.
Good.
Yeah.
Why so?
Well, because unless somebody does something, it has to be a law where people lose something. People have to, for a lot of people, money talks, okay? And people get their money from their employment. And so if their employment is threatened in any way, that's the only way we're going to get people to get vaccinated who aren't vaccinated, to get this thing under control. And the thing is that people are complaining about this. Well, guess what? You don't have to have that job. You are more than welcome and have the freedom to go work somewhere else. Nobody's holding you to that job. You're joining the unemployment fund. Nobody's holding you to that job.
And I feel like what was the choice here? You have what Aisha just showed, but then you have people who are vaccinated, and our rights are being squashed and hampered because we've been put in a position to have to go to work because we were vaccinated, of course, but then it's like, then we can't hold a company liable for putting us in the situation where we're getting sick, or if they're not giving, that falls under different categories. I mean, hell, even Amazon has things about breaks, this, that, cleanliness, hygiene. There are just normal things. But when you get to that point where they're taking away our rights to even sue corporations that perhaps don't separate the vaccinated from the non-vaccinated. And do they even want to do all that? I mean, it just became a choice of like what was going to be the easiest and most cost-effective for corporate America. And I can't say that I don't blame them, because this is where, instead of beating up Joe Biden, they need to talk about the corporations. They run it. You don't think he sat down and had a conversation with those guys, or they didn't call him and say, yo, this is costing me a lot of damn money. Put in some kind of mandate. They honestly don't think that the dude from Chase, Jamie Dimon, didn't make a phone call and go, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but you better do something, because I can't keep dealing with this with these employees. You got to put yourself on the line, not me. Because it will destroy corporations on a certain level, even just with the healthcare stuff alone. Just like they can't even get, it's like, are we going to charge more for it? Are we not? What are we doing? So I don't think, and everybody wants to talk about their rights. It's like, this is a pandemic. If this was smallpox or something, you all would be faffing around here. I sure the hell wouldn't have you over to my house. That's for damn sure. I don't care who you are.
Forget your rights. I have the right to not get sick after being vaccinated.
And I have that right. You know, I have the right to, if somebody gave me freaking AIDS and they knew they had it, I'd have the right to. There's a few Black men serving time in jail for that, by the way. So what's the difference? If you got a test, you know you got COVID, go stay home. But if you give it to somebody, why aren't they in jail? I mean, they've created legislation for what's the difference? HIV, what was that about? I think about it. How many people wanted to wear masks? Thought they should have been separated when they didn't even want anybody to touch their food in the kitchen. I mean, this is not about the disease at all. It's a politicized agenda, and it's suddenly just taken off. And the worst part of it is that the Republicans found the dividing line. And I saw a few people like, well, next is going to be genocide. It's going to be genocide. And these are the stages of genocide. No, the stages, there's a macro stage of genocide, and then there's a micro stage of genocide. And if anybody tried to put forth a serious division that would wedge people, it was Donald Trump, where you can't even have a rational conversation with his people at all. Yeah. So it's now to the point where now they want to be like, oh, you mad, because none of us want to like be bothered with you. You mad now. Don't work. Go start your own stuff. Isn't that what you said you could do anyway?
Let me just interrupt. The comments are flying like crazy. So Real Django saying good that President Biden has done it. Blue Rain says, right, Aisha. Also saying, personally, Blue saying, I will feel more comfortable knowing that people are vaccinated now, where some don't even wear masks.
I agree.
Chris is saying, thumbs up, Jill. Jen is saying, you're right, ladies. It had to be done or people would never get vaccinated. Green Eyed saying, exactly. Black Beauty saying, President Biden made the right choice. There are new variances that can make it much worse. Americans always think we're exempt from consequences. Kudos, President Biden.
Exactly.
Green Eyed is saying here, I got COVID in a physical rehabilitation center. I nearly died.
So sorry.
But I can't sue them.
Right.
And then Chris is saying, in my professional life, we can't even ask others if they're vaxxed. And I know that there are people who are not. Feels like our hands are totally tied.
I would say that if you see people wearing masks, for the most part, they're vaxxed. Because I know that's a long shot, but I find that people who are vaxxed are a little bit more considerate of other people. And, unless it's in a facility that now, these people are acting like it's only in America. Italy has put that in force as well. It happened a month ago in Italy. I think it's now everybody basically they were like, you can't go to the movies. You can't go eat. You have to show that you've been vaccinated. And amongst other things, France is doing the same thing. It's going to be across the board because we cannot let the minority of the few, particularly when we have countries in Africa. And I heard about a woman in Rwanda who is hoping to get the shot next week, hoping, and thinks she's only going to get one. And for me, I want to bitch slap every anti-vaxxer through the fucking wall because I'm so done with it. And they started cropping up when my daughter was young. I'm not vaxxing my daughter because I think, really? You think what? You don't think. That's the problem. You don't think. And I hate to say it. It's like, I will say exactly what I want to say. I said it to a girlfriend yesterday who's in Paris and talking about the anti-vax people. There were a few she talked about that I knew from back in the day. I was like, that bitch was like snorting up the whole freaking room of cocaine, whatever. And it's them. It's the ones who have their sobriety meetings, the this, the that. Now they've got vegan kids. Now they've got this. And they're freaking anti-vax. Go figure. And I want to say to them personally, do you think that when you made your little baby that your genes were all cool? that they're hunky-dory and strong, that your kid will survive COVID after all the stuff you piled into your bodies? Give me a break. You're taking a big risk because your kids may not know what you did before, but some of us do. So if you want to go on the strength that your genetic makeup and component is so stellar that your child could survive COVID now that you're sober and you're straight, it's disgusting, because that's who they are. Some of them. And she was telling me, and I was like, get her. And she was like, well, yeah. So I was like, she needs to quit. I mean, for real.
Though, this mandate is also good for businesses, because a lot of businesses want to get back to having their workers come into the office, even though it's a very antiquated business model. But a lot of them want to have their workers come back in. And so they are the ones behind this, pressing Biden to introduce this. And let's be clear, he only vaccinated he only did the mandate for the vaccination over the things that he could control, which were federal employees.
Well, people are mad because it's not Congress. I don't know if that's true, if they haven't been forced to do it, because Nancy said she couldn't make that happen. But they're all vaccinated. Let's just be clear. All of them are vaccinated. Please, they all did it.
But for federal workers, he can definitely do that.
Yeah.
And for it to be 100 million,
more jobs for people that need them. If you don't want them, somebody else will. That's always crazy to me when people think they're irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Well,
a federal job is a good job, pension, healthcare.
Well, this is the thing. Well,
I might apply.
One of the things that's actually interesting too is a large amount of the Black American population have federal jobs, and a large amount of African Americans are not vaxxed.
But there's no conspiracy to that. That's just willful ignorance. That's just willful ignorance. I'm not going to jump on that. Oh, they're trying to get rid of the Black people. No, Black people canceled themselves, on that, because it's just that. No, I'm not jumping on that. And actually, there's.
I was just putting out there.
No, I know.
But the numbers, though, proportionately are it seems like they're large compared to the population, but if you go proportionately to the size in each state, for example, remember how in Texas, where the lieutenant governor was trying to blame the Black population for the spread of COVID in the state, but there were more Black people vaccinated in Texas than there were white people, because of the number of Black people in Texas. So, even though we still need to really get Black people vaccinated, the sheer numbers in state by state vary.
So I'm just going to do a little break time. So Chris is saying, right, Jill, everyone is replaceable in every workplace.
Sure.
Black Beauty. Absolutely, Jill. I got my third vaccine for COVID because I have MS. Mm-hmm. So I wear a mask all the time. Green-eyed little baby. I hate the housing situation now. Homelessness is growing due to COVID and the rent is skyrocketing. It's a sad situation all around. Real Django saying, this is so freaking tiring hearing people whine with such conviction, and wearing a mask is against their freedom. And green-eyed
doll baby.
Yes. Doll baby. Okay, doll baby. I'll get it eventually. I'm just going to call it green-eyed. Sorry, green-eyed, because I keep on messing up. Make it short and so green-eyed. Let's say green-eyed. Saying the real Django exactly. Now, Chris has a question. Your opinion of this. A woman is working with others, not vaxxed, no mask. She is not vaxxed because she's trying to get pregnant. Thoughts?
There's no reason that you should not be vaxxed trying to get pregnant. It's pregnant women. Do
you get pregnant by breathing in the air these days? I don't know. Is sperm floating around that you just go to grab it? I don't know, like a seal. What's wrong with her?
It's all pregnant women who are going, if you're unvaccinated and you're pregnant, they tell you to wait. But trying to get pregnant, you should want.
Well, no, they've told women who are pregnant to get the vaccine.
Okay, now they've changed it.
Absolutely, particularly after that young woman, beautiful young girl, and her husband went through it and left her 2-year-old she had the baby, but she never got to hold it and she died. She got COVID, and she was not anti-vax. She just didn't know what they were supposed to do. And they were not. She was wanting to get the vaccine. And you see, here's the thing. If we could all have if COVID was glowed on us, if it glowed as we walked, I wish it did. Because I would like to see how the transmission of it goes on every human body. Because somebody gave it to that girl, and hopefully they weren't a willful person, but she got it and she died. And in my opinion, they killed her.
Yeah.
So Chris is saying about the lady he was talking about, she's not the brightest bulb on the set. And then Black Beauty saying, Chris, good scenario, but she can still wear a mask and social distance and be tested weekly.
I just don't think she should be a mother. So with any luck, maybe God won't give her a child.
Oh, I ain't gonna go there.
I don't think she should be. Anybody that stupid shouldn't be allowed to have children.
All right. Well, folks, we've been away for a few weeks, and you see, Jill's back. And Aisha's back. So what we're going to do, folks, loving the comments that are happening, we are going to take a quick break so we can refuel and restart our engines. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Jill's ready to go. We're going to talk
race.
Another one of Jill and Aisha's, a new person on Jill and Aisha's hit list, a gentleman named Greg Abbott. So we're going to be back in just a second. Keep it locked. So ladies, what is going on?
Just that he needs to get it together.
Sick of that. I am sick of it.
Something is seriously wrong with you.
Why is he still there?
She shouldn't be near Congress.
You need an exorcism, because I don't know what is wrong with you people.
It was so powerful.
And I really wish everybody would stop bowing down to this.
What is he talking about? This makes no sense.
They know they are not the oppressed party, but they love being the superior ones, and they want to flaunt it.
So it was always made political, particularly for people of color, and the LGBTQ population.
We end off every episode with a cockroach. This episode's cockroach.
Everything.
Everything?
All the things are going on.
All the things?
Mm-hmm.
We are back. State of Things.
Quick.
Yeah, I know. State of Things with Aisha and Jill, broadcasting live September 11th. Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and Twitter live. So we're on all those different platforms. We are now into the second half of our epic conversation, but we got, audience participation. Hashtag Team JJ from Chris, and Real Dango saying Jill's laying down the boom.
Tired of it.
And also another longtime podcast associate of mine, Lynn Brunet, who also on her platform has this broadcast distributed on her platform. And has
wow.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Lynn, for dropping by. And let's just continue on. This gentleman I know is not a friend of yours, either one of yours, Greg Abbott. So for people who don't know who he is, could you please give an education and then tell us why you're not a friend of his?
He's the governor of Texas who's anti-everything. I'm ready for him to roll on out of there, literally. If you don't know, he's in a wheelchair. So when I said roll on, I meant it.
Bad.
He signed the bill this week to turn it into a law that women cannot, in Texas, have an abortion after 6 weeks, and that anyone who assists them in any way can be reported and punished. He also said that whether or not a person wants to get vaccinated is a right to choose. That a woman's body, what a woman does with her body, is not a right to choose issue.
It's so repulsive that they use a woman's body for the battleground. It's actually, it's just disgusting. I honestly don't think Abbott likes women at all. I think he's got some mother issues. It sounds like mommy issues to me, something really bad, you know? I feel that it's so ironic that Mexico, a Catholic country, their Supreme Court actually ruled that they will, it's not going to be a criminal, they're decriminalizing abortions. So pretty soon you're going to have a bunch of, the only place to go and get your abortion is going to be in Texas. And then I guess they're going to want border patrols reports on that, won't they?
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know, about this legislation in Texas about abortion and the Supreme Court upholding it. But I was listening to a number of commentators over the last week or so, and what some of them are saying, what this is really going to be concerning is now other issues where people can be vigilante about in regards to immigration, in regards to critical race theory. Like some of the commentators I was were listening to were saying that, you know what, watch out, because all the conservative are going to start bringing all these sort of legislations based on this legislation, and that they feel that the Americans are going to become vigilantes, even more so.
Well,
Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think it does open the door, but it also reveals something about people and their stupidity. These people don't realize how women's bodies work. It's like 6 weeks. I mean, that's just, the fetal heartbeat is usually around the time that most women find out they're pregnant. I mean, you're talking about, 2 weeks, missed period. Oh, I might be pregnant.
Yeah, but Texas also has the worst prenatal care. It's really on the list of we're in the highest percentile of deaths just on a normal, without COVID situation of prenatal premature births and deaths, particularly with women of color. And Texas is high on that list. I mean, we would never even consider that Texas is a great place for anything medical as well. I mean, let's just be honest. It's a dirt hole.
Can I interrupt? Because comments are really flying crazy. Lynn is saying, so snitching on people, disgusting. Chris is saying, Avid, if he were floundering in the ocean, I would throw him a shark.
I know.
You're right to even think about telling women what they can do with their bodies ends until you grow a uterus. Total fool. Ugh. Green-eyed saying major websites have removed and banned the people and pages that were created to snitch on people having abortions and or giving abortions. Real Django. Abbott is a 45 clown. Texas has the highest amount of abortions in this country. It just angers me seeing how it is always a bunch of white men huddled up making decisions about women's rights.
Well, the worst. Oh, sorry.
No, just two more comments. Lynn is saying, I didn't even realize I was pregnant until just after 6 weeks.
Right. Most of us, yeah.
Yeah. And Real Django saying that's sick, green-eyed. And then Black Beauty saying, Abbott, no redeeming quality at all. Okay, we're caught up.
Well, then the way that he also wants to stop rape, because it's like when people ask him the question of, well, what about in the instance of rape, you're going to still keep this, this low. He's like, well, the way we're going to stop rape is we're going to, arrest rapists basically before they rape. Well, you can't prosecute rapists until they've raped somebody. It's like so you're going to basically predict who's going to rape whom, and that's how that's your plan. It's like that's your plan, and the thing is, like,
I think the people will have to do what my mother did with her rapist.
Do tell.
I will never tell.
Okay.
But let's just put it this way. There's 2 less people walking on the planet.
Enough said.
Well,
and I can't say that, and because that's what women will do when you are in those, and it was in the South. And when you're in those situations, there will be, you can't trust the judicial system. You can at this point because there's a big void right now, what's going on between the states and what's happening out of Biden's camp. We have a void in our jurisdiction system that is making their, this was actually done. What they are doing, what the GOP is actually doing is very similar to like the Herero genocide that in South Africa with the Germans. During that whole point, there was a time when killing, the Germans had configured like, well, we're not really going against international law because they didn't mention Black people. So but we're seeing in the red states that they're taking things, and if it is not to the exact word, they will have somebody challenge it. It has to be so detail oriented because they are actually making illegal acts legal, or even just the void is making people go, well, they're doing it for the good of the country. And that was a trick that was used by, Herero genocide was before Hitler. But if anyone knows in the studies of Hitler, the nephew of the general or whoever was on that Herero genocide, his nephew worked very closely with Hitler later and was a part of the Third Reich. So all of these little things, these are tools that have been used for a really, really long time. Because, and they take them right out of playbooks. So it's when you create this thing that, well, we're doing it. They've even tried it where they'll go, it wasn't legal for Black people to do X, Y, and Z, but they did it because it was illegal what the country. So if you notice, the GOP flips it back. They do jujitsu. They do total freaking political jujitsu. If you are saying, well, Black people had a right to fight for their civil rights. So they have reversed it and been like, well, this is ours. But what you can identify when people start putting out the fear of there's going to be genocide, there's going to be that. To have like a genocide or something that, with people who are fearful of this vaccine, there has to be an ideology. And the ideology that exists is the white supremacist ideology. And they flip the switch on that they're weak. They're threatened, they're under attack, and they're, oh my God, what are we going to do? Nail biting sessions. We have to fight for our rights. So it's really, really interesting. But one thing that proves who they are is that they're morally depraved. Because when you can get a group of people to defy authority or obey it. But the reality is these people have no moral foundation anymore. They are morally bereft, all of them. And they know it in their heart. They know that they are. But you have to get your base to the lowest common denominator in order to be able to stand up and have lynchings and have picnics while they're burning people on an effigy. That's how low. And only white supremacists, they got that playbook and they're working it backwards. So when we talk about Texas, a cultureless, fabricated state that lives off the laurels of a bullshit creation from Hollywood. Hollywood made that up. Cowboys, Indians, that's Hollywood. Texas is not that. Hollywood. I had to get somebody in check yesterday. You have no culture, people. You have none. If anything, it was Mexican. You have no culture. But the cowboy stuff, that was created by a couple of Jewish men who ran a bunch of studios here in Hollywood. These are people that have been searching for an identity, white people. It's really sad. If they weren't Irish, they don't have anything to cling to. I don't even know. They have no identity anymore, and they're very lost.
Well, that's also the real push behind this getting rid of Roe versus Wade protections in the last 30 years, is because they've known that the population shift was going to happen. Now that the census has actually said that their numbers have reduced, they really are into signing these things into laws about abortion, preventing abortions, because they want their numbers to increase.
Okay, let me catch up with comments here. Real Django saying thumbs up. There's another comment. Chris is saying, tell it, Jill. Absolutely true. Let's go back up here now. Green-eyed saying, these people passing laws aren't even adopting the kids left behind. Chris is saying, unless something has changed, the DOJ is bringing suit against the state of Texas. And I did see that this week, and I messaged both of them saying, Merritt is alive.
I know. Garland.
He woke up.
Blue Range is saying, it's so hypocritical. My body, my choice only counts when it comes to COVID, but not when it comes to a woman's body.
Right.
Real Django. Abbott saying he will stop rape. Really? Is he starting now? So many of the rapes are by makes the women new. So what magical method is he going to do to stop rape?
He's a perverted human being. He's perverted. He probably can't even have sex himself.
That's why I tweeted what I did this week.
I mean, can you imagine? He's been in that chair. He doesn't have sex. But you need a healthy dose of it. I don't care. Do it yourself. Take care of yourself. But it's not good. It ain't good.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
I tweeted, I didn't know my rapist was a rapist until he raped me. That is what I tweeted earlier this week. Because you don't know until it happens.
Yeah. Okay, so Patrick's time
or you could grow up as I did, which was, I don't know if it's great to be told as a 4-year-old based upon my mother, her being raped, and my grandmother not being able to be quiet. But I was given a brief rundown about men when I was 4 years old. I don't think that was the best, but I tiptoed through rooms sideways from a very young age. And I don't think that was healthy either. But that's what Black women did in those days. They told their kids, watch out for men, watch out for them. And I did. And I was very uncomfortable with men for a very, very long time. And I think that it's probably why I didn't really date until I was like out of high school. I mean, I had a couple boyfriends, but nothing physically, no way. The fear of God was already in me. A man looking at you wrong, making you feel uncomfortable. It was like, that's not great either. But that's what Abbott and them are creating. Those old days, And that's a lot for a little kid to walk around carrying.
Let's catch up here. Packard's time is saying people are fleeing to Texas. Okay, the point?
I'm not sure because I've actually saw a few that had taken jobs at Google and actually left. Just said to hell with this.
So Green Eye is saying, as a victim of rape who had an abortion, we already suffer and are traumatized. So now he's adding a third trauma with jail time. Pitiful man.
Can I say something about Texas? Everybody goes because it's cheap. But there's an old Latvian saying that a friend of mine told me, stingy pays twice. Mm-hmm. You go somewhere and it may be cheap. You may have your little no sales tax, whatever the hell. But let me tell you something. Stingy always pays twice. So I don't go out and buy the cheap stuff. I'll save and get the real deal. But I ain't moving down to Texas.
Okay.
That's trash.
Chris is saying, oh, Jill, Chris is saying, "Oh, Jill, sex and Abbott, bad visual."
I know it is bad, isn't it?
Green-eyed saying exactly, Aisha. And Real Jangle, sorry for my typos. My fingers are stuttering out my text. No worries, it's all good. Aisha, you wanted to say something.
He has an election next year. I suggest his opponent adopt Ludacris's song "Rollout" for his 20.
Oh, shame.
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
well,
geez.
let's be honest. In all good sport here, now that everybody's on equal footing, it's not like, anyone's shaming anybody for being handicapped. That's not it. But all I'm saying is if you want to be down and you want to be included in everything, you got to be included in a little bit of ribbing too. If somebody's going to make fun of my bunions, I get to make fun of your wheelchair. So I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. If we're going to be all on an equal playing field, let's go. Because I'm very curious why Madison Cawthorn and Abbott are two of the most meanest SOBs. And they're just brutal people. Are they angry because of what? They're locked in, their bodies forever? I don't know what it is. And I'm asking that humbly. I'm just like, yo, these men are mean and they're divisive and they're morally depraved. It's like, I don't know. It's pretty bad. They are that dude and It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Potter. Oh, he's Mr. Potter from Pottersville.
Just me.
Okay.
Me.
All right. Let's move on to another fun conversation piece. California's recall election. So Jill's our California correspondent. What's going on in Cali?
Well, okay. Larry Elder's been running these ads like crazy. And like all of a sudden he got some kind of weird makeover or something. And I'm like, what's up with his eyebrows? I mean, it looks like they put that black mechanical tape and put it on two things. I swear to God, I can't get past them. He's like, and then we're going to do this and that. And they put the soft filter with Vaseline on the lens to make him look younger. I don't know. I think that, it's a real tough call. We don't know. It's going to be tight because there's been so much money thrown in here. And it's unfortunate. I hope the progressives, you see, we have a very interesting thing with progressives here. And I found that a few progressive friends of mine, they never want to give it up to the Democrats for anything, even when it's for the collective. They're not of the collective either. They can be just as bad as the Trump people. And we saw that when they gave their vote to Trump or whoever they threw it away to when Hillary was running. They don't play fair either. And we have to deal with those two groups' egos because it's all ego. They're egocentric and they want change. And if they can't have it their way, they're going to kick and scream. They're no different than some of the Trumpers. So I'm a little concerned about them going for Newsom because the ones that I know that I talk to, they're like, well, he's not that great and he's doing this and he's doing that. And I'm like, yo, we don't have time for what you want to do. We don't have time for that. It's like you're in a boat and there's a storm and they want to sit and talk about, well, I'm not so sure we're doing it the right way. If I can't handle it. So I'm a little nervous about that because right now it's like, I need people who want to get all hands on deck, get dirty. Let's do it. We're going to vote him in and get rid of these Republicans because this is only one lashing. They're going to come again at us. And remember, we vote next year anyway for a new governor again. This is $250 million. That is a waste of money. And they want to break California. They want it to go even a little bit more red. Kevin McCarthy's behind all that. That wandering eye girl, who was it? Her father's the guy from Arkansas. She was the
Sarah.
He donated Hickabee.
Hickabee, yeah.
Oh, Hickabee sounds better. He put down a lot of money for this.
$250,000.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the laws that need to be addressed, I mean, talk about a divide. I feel like every state is on its own. And I really wish that California wouldn't have to give any of their federal money to anybody else anymore. Nothing. I don't even know what more to say about Larry Elder, except that he's the worst possible candidate they could ever pick. I mean, did you ever watch his TV show where he played a judge, a pretend judge? Oh my God. I mean, the concepts that PUD came up with was unreal. Unreal. It was like, you know, I don't know, we're in trouble. And the reason all of it's happening is because they have to make Biden's, the country look bad under Biden's administration. So they're willing to mobilize to destroy. They're mobilizing for destruction. And that's the kind of people that we have. So my problem is, I don't know if I can trust all the progressive either to pull through and do the right thing, because they're a little shady.
Okay.
And I said I would always vote for the progressives, but I'm seeing a real self-centered side to them too that I'm not too keen on.
So Patrick's time is saying eyebrows and wheelchair criticisms. Deep, Black Beauty. Please run Larry Elder out of the country or put him in a time machine back to the 1800s.
Thank you.
As a sharecropper on the worst plantation. Oh my! Oh, you know what? The audience enjoyed their week up, so they could load up. They could bless you. They could load up.
That was funny as hell.
Blue Rains. It's really bad when Larry Elder is the leading Republican candidate. Larry Elder.
Larry Elder. I know. It's just crazy.
When is the runoff?
3 days. 14th, right?
Monday.
Yeah,
Tuesday. Monday. Tuesday. Wow.
So we'll have the results next week when we talk.
Oh boy. Next week's show, I'm already primed for this already.
I'm burning my candles. I've got everything lit. I'm trying to come for Larry as much as I can. I think I'm getting shadow banned on that.
Real Django is crying after Black Beauty's comments. That is one of the. You've got to put it up again. Please run Larry Elder out of the country or put him in a time machine back to the 1800s as a sharecropper on the worst plantation. Wow. Wow. That's prime. When you get Jill like that, you're prime time. That's
hilarious. Oh, sorry. Pardon the pun. Hilarious.
Oh, sorry.
Larry Elderus.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's all right.
Man.
Okay. So we finally.
Yeah, I hope Newsom pulls through. I mean, I've tried to explain like the restaurant. Everybody was like, "What's French Laundry? French Laundry? That's a stupid name." Blah, bloop, de bloop. It's a 63-seater. It wasn't full when granted, maybe going to dinner wasn't a good thing. But even I kind of like the fact that he snuck out and did some things. We snuck out and did a couple of things. We weren't, people that I know were in Utah, and some of the really beautiful, spas with the natural springs, they were closed off. But I had a few friends who were like, well, the hell with it. We're going to climb the fence and go in. And okay, it was what things happen. So in a really weird boomer way, I was kind of like, good for him. Have a dinner. What the heck? And I'm pretty sure he's okay because it wasn't like a roaring party. They made it sound like he went to freaking Studio 54 with Andy Warhol.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, Oreo is saying here, I support Larry Elder. Good. No problem. No problem at all. Let's get to our last conversation piece. Every episode, at the end, we have a cockroach. And Aisha suggested that this episode's cockroach is anyone who keeps wanting to deny Americans freedoms on this 9/11. Please expand, Aisha.
Well, not just we're not. Just
Why would you support Larry Elder? Honestly, I honestly just need to know. It's actually not okay with me. Why? What the hell has he done?
Well, let's
scrape and scrimp, and he's a wannabe talk show host, actor. He's everything that he pulled a gun on his girlfriend. I mean, really? That says a lot about you, Oreo.
Okay,
Well,
let's get back to
this. I said, well, not just the people that were responsible and for what happened on 9/11, but we also have people in this country who are still trying to deny Americans freedoms today, who are other Americans. I'm talking domestic terrorists. That we have to remember that it hasn't stopped just because we think that, oh, we haven't had any people come into the country to wage terror on us. We've been living with terror that is homegrown. And so those are the people who are this episode's cockroach, the people who still have that mindset.
And Bush spoke about it today.
And our domestic terrorists.
Bush spoke about it today. He said they were the spirit of soullessness. Like he said, they have the same spirit as the people who flew planes into the World Trade Center. And he's right. They do. And they call it patriotism. So I find it very hard for me to marry these people into these good old patriots who lack so little class and so low intelligence. And to think that they, and they all have made up stories to connect themselves to 9/11. They didn't care.
Like Trump.
Like Trump. Oh, he was the worst. During that whole time, he did absolutely nothing. He was on TV talking about his buildings. And when he said that he had the tallest building, I think I have the tallest building now. It was the most disgusting thing. People were writing about what a pig he was. Yeah. But no, the rest of America, now, if I try to marry these patriots who believe, all this righteous BS, it's like, go to hell. The reason that 9/11 had the standard and NDC and that whole love, that body of love, is because that's where it really is. Because the rest of America is hateful as hell. And everybody knows it. And as far as I'm concerned, they don't need to develop any of it.
Because remember, people are also oversimplifying the love of 9/11 because there was tremendous love and then very swift hate.
No, and then all the weirdos started coming up with their conspiracy theories and their because they have way too much time on their hands.
But not even this conspiracy.
Russia came in then.
Well, no, but the swift hate for brown people came right after that, for anyone who was a Muslim, for anyone who may have looked like they were from the Middle East.
Which is why I sent my daughter out. We left the country because she came home one day. They were talking and she goes, is my grandpa, her grandfather was from Iran, is my grandpa bad? And I was like, well, fuck this country. We're out of here. And we left. And she was schooled abroad. So, I'm sorry, but yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happened. That's how it was being portrayed. And it was being spun by people that don't go anywhere. They don't go anywhere but to the Piggly Wiggly and home. I cannot believe that those dolts are controlling COVID. Media. They're controlling everything. Dolts, people who sit on their behinds all day, who go back and forth somewhere, who have just normal bloop, doop, bloop. I cannot believe it. And then they want to talk about a cabal running the world. Please, if there is a cabal, can you just please get rid of them?
Okay, so we got some final comments before we call it an evening.
Some cabal.
Real Dango, Jill is about to explode. Better run, Oreo. Just kidding. Off Time says, weird to see Democrats side with Bush.
Why? Because, can I just say something about that? It's not about siding. That's the biggest, this is not just tribal. It's called common sense. I am the type of person, if I'm friends with somebody, I think you like talking out the side of your neck, I'm going to say something to you. And that goes for my politics as well. There are some things people say that I'm like, no, I'm not feeling that. But I'm not going to just be like, well, it's Democrat. It's like that's the same thing with religion. I don't know who I always thought more people were more like me. And as I get older, I find out that there's very few. And it worries me because I think I'm freaking amazing.
All right.
And so are you, Aisha and Dr. Vibe.
Say it out.
And everybody, Black Beauty, Blue,
okay,
Real Django.
So Black Beauty is saying
Chris.
This week's cockroach is the person who posted that they like Larry Elder. Put that person and Elder on the time machine back into the 1800s. Thanks. Blue Rains. The trolls are in full effect tonight. Real Dango says, no worries, Oreo. Stand by your statement. Own it. Just accept the criticism in social media. We all have to.
Absolutely. That's true.
And Chris says, how come I'm not getting Chris' comment? Chris's comment. There we go. Thank you as always. Terrific trio. A nice discussion as always. I learned to all the very best to you. And then Off Time is making a question.
Is she advocating for mass killing? No. You know what? You're just too stupid. You're going to put in the way you see things, how you project. Don't worry. You guys will take care of your own selves. No worries. No worries about that. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, honestly, you know, they just are dim. This is too broad. The topics are too broad. You're not fair. You're not balanced human being. Go away.
All right, Chris.
Depraved.
Black Beauty, yes. Jen is saying, great discussion, everyone. Well, it was a great discussion, and it sounds like some people missed us. So we are back.
And we missed you guys too.
We missed you too. Yes. So we are back. So saying here, great discussion, everyone. So as always, it was a great time tonight. Another great time. And thank you, everyone.
How's my house coming along up in Canada, by the way? They almost finished with it?
We're ready for you. We're ready for you. We're ready for you.
Thank you.
Black Beauty says, whew, that time machine needs an upgrade. Oh man, the Real Dango, welcome Black. Well, welcome. We are glad to be back. And as always, folks, before we let the ladies leave, we got to find out. I just got to find it here because it's been a minute. I got to find how their contact information here. So bear with me. Okay. First things first, Jill Jones, if people want to get a hold of you.
Jill D. Jones at Twitter. But I actually am not taking a lot of like DMs except from people that I've already approved. And mostly everybody who tunes in here is. So yeah, I narrowed that list down.
I was waiting for that to happen. Okay, so and then Aisha K. Staggers.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter.
Excellent. And myself, the best way to get a hold of me is my website, thedrvibeshow.com. Also, I want to put it out there if people have any suggestions for topics, we'd like to have you suggest them. And also, too, if you want us to, we'd love to have some of you come on, too. And if you have any suggestions for us, at the bottom here, you can email me, dr.vibe at thedrvibeshow.com. We'd like to get your feedback. So as always, I'd like to say, oh, this is good. This is good. Real Dango, my Twitter name's changed to Jill Jones. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. On Off Time saying Canada won't take Americans. We will. But some people in Canada saying we need a wall. That's a whole other conversation.
Well, maybe Off Time needs to doesn't know my status with Canada. So that's okay.
All right. Let's leave it be at that. All right. So as always, I'd like to thank everyone who jumped in tonight. Real Dango, Off Time, Black Beauty, Jen Myers, Chris, Blue Rains. I said Chris already. Green Eyed, Lynn Brunet. Thank you, everybody who jumped in tonight on the live. Oh, Cinema Canella. Can't forget you also. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who jumped in to the conversation tonight live and also who will be listening to this on replay. We appreciate you. We don't take it for granted. I'm just trying to navigate to something really quick here. There we go. And Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe channel on YouTube or subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook. And as I said, now you can catch this content live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and also on Twitch. And if you want to catch replays, you can catch replays of State of Things scrolling at the bottom here on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube and Facebook channel, and also at the Dr. Vibe Show website, www.thedrvibeshow.com. As always, I like to close off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. For those who follow me or want to know what the Dr. Vibe Show is up to next week, on Tuesday night, we're doing a pre-election special because we have a federal election coming up in Canada on September 20th. So I'm hosting an open mic or a town hall on Black Canadians' thoughts on what's been going on in this election. So that's on Tuesday night. And the exact date is Tuesday, September 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you can catch that wherever you're watching this live conversation now. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And we just got some other comments. Great. Blue Rains, great show. Welcome back. Thank you so much. I'd like to say God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And remember to give yourselves grace. See you next week, 9 p.m. Saturday night Eastern time.